What's up guys, it's Manga Time once again with Bleach 538, Standing on the Edge. Awesome chapter, especially if you like development from side characters. It was just a fantastic chapter. It starts off where it left off. Actually no it doesn't, because you don't get to see Uryu and the Vandenreich, which was kind of a shame. But we get to see Ichigo, and he doesn't know how he's going to get to where he's going, which is back to the Royal Realm. Ishin questions him, there's a bit of a funny moment. Then suddenly Mera appears above him, and if you don't remember, Mera is Oetsu Nimaya's little assistant woman, I'm pretty sure, is his personal Zanpakuto as well. But she appears in front of him, or above him, and she takes him away. Basically, Oetsu used a Chokaimon on Ichigo, which is like this portal that allows the guy who sent them to keep them tethered, so that you can bring them back after a certain amount of time. And apparently Oetsu told Mera that if Ichigo didn't do it in a day, then there was absolutely no point in him doing it at all. But of course Ichigo did find out, and now he's come back, so he's back in the Royal Realm. And this bit's really interesting, because Oetsu's like, oh, you've got a good look on your face now, I reckon you can probably beat the Asauchi. However, the Asauchi don't even challenge him then, they kneel down before him. Oetsu's pretty surprised at this, and then basically, here, the Asauchi they're all blank. They're completely blank. And what the Shinigami does is the Shinigami chooses one and they imprint their soul upon it. So Ichigo chooses this Asauchi, he grabs its hand, and it becomes him, but with a hollow mask on. So, to my mind, this means that his soul has basically accepted the hollow side of him, knowing that it's no longer something alien and something to be feared, but it's actually a part of his mum. You know, it's like a gift from his mother. Now he knows that, he knows where his power comes from, so he can accept it, and he imprints this onto this Asauchi. And Oetsu's like, very nice. I'm gonna forge your sword for you now. So Ichigo's getting a new Zanpakuto. We then cut back to Soul Society, which I was really happy about, and we start getting some development on the captains left on the ground. We're in this kind of sword academy. There are some lower level Shinigami trying to train, and a couple of them are pondering what happened to Captain Hitsugaya after he lost his Bankai. One of the dudes is like, oh, the 10th Division, man, it's over. And then the man himself arrives, Toshiro, and basically he's like, I've lost my Bankai. Now I have to be a simple swordsman. Please teach me the basics. Now, I think this is interesting, but I'm not entirely sure what Toshiro is hoping to achieve here, because he already knows the basics. Just because he lost his Bankai doesn't mean he no longer knows anything. Admittedly, Toshiro does use his Bankai a lot, and it must be quite a difficult blow for Toshiro, because as he states that after the fight with Aizen, he trained a lot to get his Bankai to its mastered level, and now it's been taken away from him. So I did think that was quite interesting, and he says that he has to keep looking forward. So that's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. But I can't see him learning Bankai again before the end of the series. So I'm not really sure. That was interesting. We then cut over to what was possibly my favourite bit of the chapter. We get to see Hisagi and Kensei. Oh man, I was well happy about this, because I really want to see more interaction between vice captains and captains, especially the Vizard captains. And this was just perfect. This was perfect. Brilliantly done. Basically, Hisagi doesn't know why Kensei's taken him out into this little clearing. And Kensei says you need to use your Bankai. And I was like, oh my god, Hisagi has Bankai. This was freaking awesome, because Hisagi is my favourite lieutenant, and just to know that he has Bankai is mind-blowing. Kazushini is so cool. So Kazushini's Bankai promises to be awesome. But basically Kensei says that my Bankai wasn't taken this time, but maybe next time it might happen, so we need more people to be able to do Bankai. Which is interesting, because you think maybe they would try and think of a different strategy, because Bankai is just going to get stolen either way. But basically, Mashura arrives. We haven't seen her since the fight with Wonder Weiss. She comes down, and she's a super lieutenant, or whatever that is, which is like a level above lieutenant, but below captain. Search me, I don't know. But she arrives, she becomes a hollow, and she punches Hisagi, and basically he has to fight her with his Bankai, or else he'll die. And then there was one bit that I didn't particularly like, and this is when Kensei's like, I'm not as kind as Tosen, kind of in a mocking manner, and Hisagi's like, I respect you, Kensei. I've always looked up to you, but you don't have the right to badmouth Captain Tosin. What? Kensei has more right than anybody to badmouth Tosin. Tosin betrayed him and tried to kill him, and then partook in the transforming of Kensei into a hollow. How does Kensei not have the right to badmouth him? I can sort of understand Hisagi standing up for Tosin because he's been his captain for a long time, and on Tosin's deathbed he's sort of recanted a little bit. But no, that's weird. That was weird. That didn't make much sense to me at all. Unless, of course, Hisagi has absolutely no idea about what happened to Kensei, but I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised. Or maybe he doesn't know the extent to which Tosin was involved, but again, I'd be really surprised. Anyway, it cuts over to yet another captain and his lieutenant. We see Tetsuzo and Iba shifting some boulders. And he's like, oh man, Komamura's been in that suspicious cave now for a very long time. And it goes into the cave, and we see this eye. And I was like, I have to be honest with you, the first thing I thought was he's going to speak to Aizen. It always comes back to Aizen with me. Every time we see some mysterious cave and there's a character in it, it's got to be Aizen. But I was kind of like, mate, it's probably not Aizen because it's not in Muken. And it turns out that it's this massive wolf, which Komamura addresses as Ojiji-san, which I believe is great-grandfather. And it says, Seijin, you've got some guts coming back here. And that's the end of the chapter. Wow. Kubo, first of all, I love the fact that... Just seriously, man. Seriously. I love the fact that he's developing all these characters. If you remember at the end of the Arrancar arc, we got two chapters to wrap up the entire arc. And that was because Kubo's pacing was completely off. Now, though, the Thousand Year Blood War arc, he's really sorted it out. And we have just pacing that allows for these kind of chapters, that allows for this kind of in-depth look. I loved it. I loved the interaction. There was also, the art was fantastic this week as well. There seemed to be an unusual abundance of backgrounds. But just overall, great chapter. The pacing is unreal. I'm glad he didn't waste any time on the Asauchi thing, because I was getting a little tired of seeing them. I want to see more of the Royal Guard, not just Oetsu Nimaya. He's my least favourite one in terms of design, so please move on to like Shutara, because I believe that's probably who the next one's going to be. Yeah, as for Komamura and his Ojiji-san, that was interesting. Theories there. I believe Komamura perhaps abandoned his kind, maybe learnt the ways of a human, hence why he can stand up and everything. Why is he not as massive as the grandpa? I don't know, maybe it's to do with him learning the ways of a human, that it's kind of kept him smaller, I guess. I don't know really. But it's going to be very interesting to see Komamura's backstory, because it's something we've always wondered about. Even if you don't really like Komamura, which I do, I think Komamura's great, and he gets a lot of stick. Even if you don't really like him, you have to wonder why the hell he's a dog. So yeah, really happy to see that. Really great to know that Hisagi has a Bankai. I can't wait to see that. Really great to see him interact with Kensei. Just a great chapter. I really loved it. Kubo bringing Mashiro back. Getting through the Asauchi thing pretty quickly, that was good. I was pretty glad that he didn't spend a lot of time on that. And just overall, it's a 10 out of 10 from me. I thought this was a fantastic chapter. So, looking at some of the comments you guys left last week, and I was glad you did as well, because it was pretty good to, to be back. Sorry. One comment from Cemetery Hill. Thanks for your comment. He says, I also wonder if Ryuken told Uryu about Juha killing his Katagiri. If so, he's going to backstab Juha. I agree. If Ryuken has told Uryu about Katagiri, then this is probably some kind of infiltration mission. Again, I kind of wish we'd seen the Vandenreich just to get a little bit of insight into Uryu's mind, but that's probably not going to happen for a little while. But yeah, thanks for your comment. I do think that if Ryuken didn't get a chance to tell Uryu, then I kind of think Uryu's possibly a bit muddled. But yeah, thank you for the comment. Basically, a lot of the comments are about Uryu, since that was what happened last week, and it's a bit annoying that he didn't turn up this chapter. Okay, the next comment I'm going to do is from 135 Mike Rules 23. Thanks for your comment. And he says, as for the whole Uryu thing, I don't know, maybe Uryu has been with the Vandenreich longer than we think. That's interesting. That's an interesting point, because it's something that I myself have actually considered, because of a couple of reasons. Uryu arrives with Hashwolf, but not only does he arrive with Hashwolf, he's already in the uniform. If Hashwolf had just gone and picked him up, I presume he would still be in his clothes. So, this makes me wonder, has Uryu been brainwashed? Because I presume he's been talking to Hashwolf for quite a long time. Has he met any of the other Sternritters? Because it's interesting, because I presume he's been with Hashwolf for a while, but it does appear that that's his first meeting with Yahweh. So, yeah, interesting. But yeah, thanks for your comments, guys. Don't forget to leave some in the comment boxes below, and I'll choose another 2 next week to read out some theories. As for my predictions of where the next chapter is going to go, I was totally wrong with this week. I kind of thought Ichigo was going to go back to the Shiba place before he reached the Royal Realm and talk to Ginjo, but that didn't happen. I do still want to see Ginjo, though. But now I kind of think that it's going to be Komamura's backstory. It might last about 3 chapters, maybe. We'll see why he values Yamamoto so much. Although actually, thinking about it, 3 chapters might be giving it a bit too many. Because I can't imagine there's that much to talk about. They'll talk about why he left his people, if he did leave his people, and why he likes Yama so much. Like, why he's so fiercely loyal to him. Because he saved his life, but we don't know how and why. So yeah, that's kind of it, really. As for my panel of the week, it's kind of got to go to the OGG-san panel, purely because we've never really seen anything like this before in Bleach. You know, when I first saw it, I was like, is this Naruto we're reading? Simply because it's just like a giant beast. Really liked it. I think it looked awesome. And how long has that thing been sleeping in Soul Society for anyway? Judging by the mountains, they're not in Seirete anymore, or at least they're on the very outskirts. So yeah, it's probably got to go to the OGG-san panel. However, I also really liked the picture of Ichigo holding Hollow Ichigo's hand, and the way the Asauchis were bowing to him. That was really nice. But like I said, art was just stellar all round this week. So many backgrounds. But anyway, that's it for my review this week, guys. I'm dropping a 10 out of 10 on this chapter. Follow the link in the description below to get my Facebook fan page. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and leave your comments below so I can read them out next week. Until then, guys, see you later.